The Taoists say that if you're a guy, you should not ejaculate more than once every so often if you want to maintain your health. And there's an equation. It's your age in years minus 7, and you divide that by 4. And so for me, that number is about 8, I think. So it says, don't ejaculate more than once every 8 days. Like, you can have sex all you want, just don't ejaculate, because it depletes you. So I'm like, these guys sound like a bunch of crackheads. So I'm just going to measure my daily happiness score, right, for a year. And I'm going to say, okay, should I follow that? Should I just have sex, whenever I want to with my wife? Masturbate, yes or no? And I'm going to gather the data. And I'm going to also say, or I'm going to test what they say, which is, if you really want to live a long time, don't ejaculate more than once every 30 days. And I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous and stupid, so I have to disprove it. So I ran a 1-year experiment. Thankfully, my wife was cooperative. And what I found was that they were right. You actually have more energy. And there is a profound hangover effect from ejaculating, whether it's from masturbating or even from sex, where the next day you're just a little bit more cranky. And it's because you get a huge drop in testosterone. So I've had guys, usually younger guys like, Dave, I tried what you said. I went 30 days without masturbating. I went on the diet, doing intermittent fasting, and I started 2 new companies. I got a $30,000 raise. I changed my life. And it's because you turned up your energy and you stopped wasting energy, right? And so what I do now is, I'm like, everything I do, whether it's what I put on my plate, what I put on my calendar, it's like, okay, how much energy do I put into it? And how much energy do I get back? And there are things that take energy, or that require energy to do, that don't give me energy back at all. I might do those if they're really useful. But if they take more energy than I get back, I'm not going to do it. I hired someone who likes to do that stuff. That's why I'm an accountant. I hate accounting. Like, I'm not going to do that. I never will. I pay someone to do my taxes. Why? Because I hate doing my taxes. It takes more energy than I put. Like, the equation's wrong. So I want people to learn, this is why you fast, though, because it gives you more of that first energy. And that's the energy used to turn down hunger, to turn down fear, to turn down even just like desires, like relentless thoughts about whatever. All of it comes down to willpower, which comes down to how good you are at turning air and food into electrons. And that's why fasting is such a biohack.
Yeah, this is so good. I mean, this formula here. I mean, that's sex transmutation. I've got to assume you probably read, Napoleon Hill. I mean, he's 100 years ago. I mean, he was talking about this, one of the last chapters in his book. And then there's been a lot of other ones, Way of Superior Man. I think Iron John touches on it a little bit, but yeah, we're experiencing all that same stuff with our guys as well. They come here for one problem. They've got this thing that really feels like it's, got his hands wrapped around him. And once we kind of get past, the first couple of weeks where they've got that under control. I mean, I had a guy within 8 weeks, he just, because we were able to remove his addiction to pornography, and he was filled with this energy. Promotion at his job, became the VP of sales, $60,000 raise. Boom, done, paid for.
It's really common.
Next guy, 26 years old. I worked with him over 16 weeks, launched 2 e-commerce business, one Amazon drop shipping, and then he had a Shopify store. Built over 16 weeks. He came to me. He's like, I can't even get out of bed in the morning without jerking off. And it's like, dude, we changed his life. There's so much power to what you're saying here. I love it.
I will tell you, though, if you're going to eat pizza, you're going to eat all day long, and you want to stop porn, it's a lot bigger lift, right? It's put the energy in first and then do the hard thing. And a lot of us we want to do the hard thing without managing our basic biology. It's just more work that way. And it's okay to say, I'm going to take the easiest path possible to get the results I want.
Yeah, that's why we really use those fasting practices in the first couple of weeks. It's like, okay, we're gonna get our hands wrapped around this, understand the triggers and stuff like that, and then in month 2 and month 3 is when we really start tackling some of these bigger goals that they're setting. Yeah. But we've laid the foundation first with going through a fast in the world.
The thing that's important to understand is that being in a safe environment is actually nourishing for you. And eating the right foods at the right time is nourishing for you. And you have to have nourishing in your life. And frankly, a healthy sexual relationship, it's a sacred spiritual act, right? And it's something that's also nourishing for you. And when you take it out and you're like, oh, I'm doing the corn syrup of sex, right? And I'm doing the corn syrup of food, right? And I'm afraid all the time of stupid shit that I know I shouldn't be afraid of, but I still feel afraid. And I don't even know why I feel afraid. So I'm going to make up a story about it that I believe to be true. Unpacking all that, it takes work. And if you just set your biology up to do work better, maybe it's going to be easier. And that's certainly been my path. I mean, I was a 300-pound angry computer hacker. And I'm a little bit different now. And I've lost 100 pounds. I've kept it off. I'm never hungry. And I've helped so many people do that with very similar techniques to this. And if you're saying, okay, I'm going to break a habit, whether it's porn or any other habit you don't like, or I'm going to actually start being a nice person instead of being an angry asshole all the time. That's also an enormous amount of work. Like you got to go in and do like deep inner work and healing and forgiveness. Every bit of that takes work. And I can tell you, because of the neuroscience work that I do at 40 Years of Zen, when I get someone in a state of ketosis using MCT oil, they can do 2.5 times more really deep personal development work before they hit the wall. But if they're like, oh, I'm going to eat my normal, frosted flakes for breakfast, they do 2 hours of personal work and they're burned out. Like they got nothing left. Right. And the hardest thing to do is like, okay, today, I'm not going to give in to temptation. Right. But then you're burned out and you get hypoglycemia and your blood sugar's low. You're probably going to default to behavior because you didn't have the raw electrical power to say no to yourself anymore. And so I want people to never run out of power, and then you have a lot more control.
How often do you fast with the Bulletproof Coffee yourself? I know it's not something you recommend people do every day.
Well, I do an intermittent fast 6 days a week. And frankly, guys in really good shape probably can do a normal like 16-8 or 18-6 intermittent fast every day and be pretty healthy as long as they're getting enough sleep and they're not overtraining.
And you combine every day with Bulletproof Coffee with that, or is that something you use more sparingly?
I did Bulletproof Coffee every day religiously for about 5 years. And what I find is most people are so depleted of saturated fats in their cell membranes that for the first couple of years, it's like once you have permission to eat grass-fed butter, it's like a holy thing. Like, oh my God, like I needed this. And after about 2 years, which is the half-life of fat in your body. So your body is constantly changing out the fats your cells are made out of. All cells, their membranes are made of tiny droplets of fat. Mm-hmm. And so after about 2 years of regular Bulletproof Coffee in the morning, like, you know what? Today I'll have less butter, or I don't need the butter the way I did before, because you finally had enough of the building blocks to make healthy cells in your body. And so for me, today I did black coffee in the morning, mostly just because I was too lazy to put the MCT and butter in it. And I was really busy this morning on podcasts. And then I had a lunch around 2:30, which was grass-fed beef. And I actually had a little bit of white rice that had been cooked and cooled, which is resistant starch, right? And I'll probably have a light dinner at 5 o'clock, maybe 5:30 my time. And that's all I'm going to do between 2:30 and 5:30. So I guess I'm doing a 21-hour fast today. But I didn't think about it. Because really, what it feel like? Here's the thing that makes it so easy. Have dinner a little bit early before it gets dark. So have dinner at 5:30. Just be done eating by 6. You got 4 hours before bedtime if you go to bed at 10. So then you sleep for 8 hours. You just fasted 12 hours. And you wake up and you go, I guess I'll just skip breakfast today. And then you've intermittent fasted. And it's just not that hard, but that you can do that. And then you do that for a few days ago. You know what? It was so easy. Maybe I'll just go till dinner. But most people, especially when they start, if you at least do one of the 3 fasting hacks in the book, either black coffee, Bulletproof Coffee, a little bit of grass-fed butter, a little bit of that C8 MCT oil I've been talking about for a decade, and or the prebiotic fiber, it makes the fast effortless. And you can make it effortful, but I want my effort to go into this interview, not into, I've got this. I'm a little bit hungry, but I've still got this. Screw that noise, man. I don't want to have to deal with that with the energy that I have. I want my energy to go into what I'm doing. So I tend to do, I tend to put MCT oil in all of my food. And I had some at lunch with my beef. And I do it most mornings. I'll do a Bulletproof Coffee or a black coffee.